As we move past 60, keeping our muscles strong and our minds sharp is not just a wish, but a necessity for maintaining quality of life. Yet there is one habit that many people think is harmless, even a quick fix when they feel tired, that may quietly wear down our health. That habit is drinking energy drinks. These cans often contain high amounts of caffeine and sugar. They can give us a short burst of alertness, but few realize they may also increase the loss of vitamin B12, a nutrient essential for keeping nerves and muscles functioning properly. When B12 levels drop, we can experience muscle weakness, tingling in the legs and hands, reduced coordination, and even memory problems. In other words, we may be trading short-term stimulation for long-term strength and clarity. In today's video, we will explore why energy drinks can contribute to B12 deficiency, the critical role this vitamin plays in muscle and brain health, and most importantly, how we can protect ourselves safely and naturally without relying on sugary, high-caffeine drinks. Before we begin, if you find this topic helpful for yourself or for a loved one, be sure to subscribe to the channel, share this video, and leave a comment below. That way, we can spread this important information to more people who need it. And I also want to ask you, when you feel tired, do you usually reach for an energy drink? Or do you prefer another way to regain your energy? Many of us believe that just one can of an energy drink is enough to chase away fatigue, keep us alert, and give us the strength to get through a long day. That feeling does seem real. Within minutes, thanks to caffeine and sugar, the heart beats faster, the brain feels more stimulated, and we sense a burst of energy. The issue is that this instant alertness is only surface level. Inside the body, especially for older adults, the impact is far more demanding. Let's take a closer look at what is inside these drinks. Most popular brands contain high amounts of caffeine, often as much as or even more than a strong cup of coffee. Along with it comes a hefty dose of sugar, sometimes dozens of grams in a single small can. Once consumed, sugar spikes blood glucose, producing a quick feeling of excitement, while caffeine stimulates the central nervous system, making us feel less tired. Younger people may handle these swings temporarily. For older adults, however, the cardiovascular system, the nervous system, and metabolism are less adaptable. That means the double jolt of sugar and caffeine becomes a heavy burden. Another factor that often goes unnoticed is how sugar and caffeine can speed up the loss or interfere with the absorption of key vitamins and minerals. Vitamin B12 is one of the most important among them. Caffeine increases kidney filtration, which can lead to faster loss of water-soluble nutrients. At the same time, a diet high in sugar disrupts nutritional balance, making deficiencies more likely. For older adults, the risk is even higher since stomach acid production naturally declines with age, reducing B12 absorption. Adding a daily energy drink is like adding fuel to the fire, raising the chances of deficiency. These effects are not only theoretical. Nutrition surveys have shown that people who consume energy drinks regularly tend to have lower B12 levels, and the difference is especially clear among older adults. What feels like extra energy may in reality be draining one of the most essential vitamins for muscle and nerve health. We might think of this situation as withdrawing money from a savings account. Drinking an energy drink feels like having extra cash to spend right away, but in reality we are drawing from limited savings rather than adding new income. For older adults, that savings account, their B12 reserves, is already thin. Repeated withdrawals only speed up the risk of running dry. In everyday life, some may have noticed that a lunchtime energy drink lifts them temporarily, only for the body to crash by late afternoon. Hands and legs may feel heavy, and sleep can be disturbed that night. That is the cost of short-term stimulation. For a body that has already carried 60 years, these swings in heart rhythm, blood pressure, and vitamin levels are not minor. The real question is whether a few hours of alertness is worth trading for the slow decline of muscles and nerves. Many people find that after an energy drink, they actually feel more drained later instead of stronger. This may be the body's way of signaling that it is working harder than it should. What we need to remember is that energy drinks only create a brief sense of alertness while quietly depleting vitamin B12, a nutrient older adults are already at risk of lacking. Instead of turning to sugar and caffeine for temporary energy, we can choose healthier options, such as a protein-rich snack, a warm glass of milk, or simply a short nap. These choices provide more sustainable energy without placing extra strain on the body. In the first point, we saw how energy drinks can drain vitamin B12 from the body. The next question we need to ask is why a lack of B12 is so dangerous, especially for the health of our nerves and muscles. To answer that, we need to look closely at what this vitamin actually does inside us. Vitamin B12, also known as cobalamin, is one of the foundation nutrients for the survival of the nervous system. It plays a direct role in forming the myelin sheath, the insulation that surrounds nerve fibers. Without enough myelin, the electrical signals that travel from the brain to the muscles become slower, distorted, or sometimes completely interrupted. This explains why B12 deficiency often leads to numbness or tingling in the hands and feet, and more importantly, a loss of coordination. For older adults, even a slight delay in nerve transmission can make walking less steady and raise the risk of falls. B12 also has another critical role. It helps form red blood cells and supports energy production. When B12 levels are low, the body cannot make enough healthy red blood cells to carry oxygen to the muscles. The result is quicker fatigue, weaker muscles, and the sensation of exhaustion even after light activity. In this way, B12 acts both as the electricity that powers the nerves and the fuel that keeps muscles working. When it runs low, both systems weaken together. This connection has been highlighted in recent research published in Nutrition Today in 2025. Scientists studied a group of older adults who consumed energy drinks several times a week. They found that these individuals had significantly lower blood levels of vitamin B12 compared with those who did not drink them, and they also showed a higher rate of muscle weakness and balance problems. This study not only reinforced the link between energy drink consumption and B12 deficiency, but also emphasized that in older age, the deficiency quickly shows up as real health issues rather than just numbers on a lab test. We can think of B12 as the cable wires that connect the brain to the muscles. When the wires are strong, the signals from the brain reach the arms and legs clearly, so we walk steadily and move smoothly. But when B12 runs low, those wires fray, the signals get distorted, and the legs no longer respond as they should. Even one misstep can raise the risk of falling dramatically. In daily life, B12 deficiency often develops quietly. The signs are not always dramatic at first. They may show up as mild tingling in the feet, a slight loss of balance when turning, or a sense that the legs tire more quickly when climbing stairs. Many people chalk these up to aging without realizing their body is missing an essential nutrient. Left unchecked, the impact can spread beyond the legs, affecting memory and focus as well. This presents us with an important challenge. How can we recognize the problem early and prevent it? The answer lies in maintaining a steady supply of B12 through natural foods while limiting habits that deplete it, such as consuming energy drinks. A meal with salmon, eggs, or milk provides not only lasting energy, but also replenishes B12 for both nerves and muscles. An energy drink, on the other hand, delivers only a short-lived burst of stimulation while quietly leaving behind a deficiency. When the body begins to run low on vitamin B12, the early signs are often subtle and easy to dismiss. A slight tingling in the toes, a moment of unsteadiness when turning, or brief lapses in memory can all be brushed off as just aging. The reality is that these are only the earliest hints. Over time, the lack of B12 builds into a series of serious problems that directly affect mobility and daily life in older adults. It is important to recall that B12 is essential for maintaining the myelin sheath that surrounds nerve fibers. With prolonged deficiency, this protective layer thins and deteriorates. Once the sheath is weakened, nerve signals traveling from the brain to the muscles no longer move smoothly. The result is a gradual loss of coordination. That is why long-term B12 deficiency often shows up as a shuffling or unsteady gait, missed steps, and a much higher risk of falls. For older adults, a single fall can bring not only immediate injury, but also long-lasting consequences, such as fractures, loss of independence, and serious complications. The muscles also suffer greatly when B12 is lacking. Because the vitamin is necessary for producing healthy red blood cells, deficiency leads to abnormal cells that fail to deliver oxygen effectively. This leaves muscle tissue in a constant state of low oxygen, which explains why fatigue sets in quickly, muscles feel weaker, and recovery after simple activity becomes slow. Many people with B12 deficiency describe the sensation of having no strength left, even after something as basic as a short walk. This goes beyond ordinary age-related tiredness, as it stems from a deeper energy shortage. The effects extend further into memory and mood. Observational studies have consistently linked long-term B12 deficiency with a higher risk of cognitive decline, memory loss, and even depression. The underlying mechanism is tied to disrupted methylation, a process the brain relies on to produce neurotransmitters. When this process falters, communication in the brain becomes less reliable. Concentration weakens, memory slips, and mood darkens. These changes do not just reduce quality of life, they also erode the sense of independence that is so vital for emotional well-being in later years. What makes the problem especially concerning is how quietly B12 deficiency progresses. Unlike other nutrient shortages that produce clear warning signs like hair loss with iron deficiency, or brittle bones with calcium deficiency, B12 deficiency tends to advance slowly and silently. A person may live for years with mild tingling or occasional fatigue before the nerve damage becomes severe and much harder to reverse. This is why many experts recommend that older adults have their B12 levels checked regularly, even if symptoms are not obvious. To better understand the long-term impact, imagine a downward spiral. Without enough B12, muscles grow weaker, which discourages physical activity. Reduced activity accelerates muscle loss, which in turn makes balance worse and falls more likely. Each fall increases fear and reduces confidence, causing further inactivity. Step by step, quality of life declines. And it all begins with a nutritional gap that could have been prevented. Recent scientific findings underline the urgency of this issue. Research published in Nutrition Today in 2025 showed that older adults who consumed energy drinks regularly had lower B12 levels and higher risks of muscle weakness and balance problems. This confirms that the concern is not only theoretical, but also reflected in real-world data. The key message we need to hold on to is that B12 deficiency does not just make us feel weaker in the moment. It lays the groundwork for a far more difficult future. If we want to preserve both physical strength and mental clarity as we age, preventing B12 deficiency must become a central part of long-term health care. And the very first step is to minimize habits that drain this nutrient, including the regular consumption of energy drinks. After seeing how energy drinks can accelerate the loss of vitamin B12 and how serious the consequences of deficiency can be, the important question that follows is where we can safely get enough B12 to keep our legs strong and our minds sharp. The answer does not lie in a can filled with sugar and caffeine. It comes from familiar, safe foods that can easily find a place in our daily meals. Vitamin B12 is found mainly in animal-based foods. Milk and dairy products such as cheese and yogurt are reliable and accessible sources. They provide not only B12, but also protein and calcium, which strengthen both bones and muscles. Eggs are another convenient option, with just one egg contributing meaningfully to daily B12 needs. Fatty fish like salmon, tuna, and sardines supply generous amounts of B12, along with omega-3s that support the heart and reduce inflammation. Poultry and shellfish such as clams and mussels are also rich sources. A balanced diet with these foods usually ensures that the body has a steady supply of B12 for smooth function. Nutrition research shows that older adults who consistently include these foods in their diets are less likely to become deficient compared with those who rely heavily on processed foods or skip meals. A recent review in Nutrition Today in 2025 emphasized that modern habits such as frequent energy drink consumption or diets low in fresh foods are major contributors to B12 decline in older age. This further reinforces the message that the real solution lies not in quick fixes, but in natural, everyday nutrition. In daily life, meeting B12 needs through food does not have to be complicated. A glass of milk at breakfast, a boiled egg at lunch, or a serving of grilled fish at dinner is often enough to maintain stable levels. These choices provide not only nutritional benefits, but also safety, minimal risk, and ease of practice, compared with opening a can of energy drink for a short burst of stimulation. These foods deliver steady, lasting energy that is far healthier. Alongside diet, regular health checks are also essential. As we age, the body's ability to absorb B12 naturally decreases. That means even people with balanced diets may still fall short. A simple blood test can show whether levels are adequate. If a deficiency is found, a doctor can guide the most appropriate way to correct it, whether through diet adjustments or other forms of supplementation, depending on individual needs. Monitoring this way ensures the body always receives what it requires and prevents silent declines. The central point to highlight is that natural foods should be the foundation for long-term health, not cans of energy drinks. The meals we prepare and enjoy daily are what nourish our legs and brains, while energy drinks provide only fleeting alertness at the cost of valuable nutrients. Reducing, and ideally eliminating, this habit spares the body from unnecessary strain. The best approach is to build a diet rich in natural B12 sources like milk, eggs, fish, and lean meat. If energy drinks have been part of your routine, try replacing them with a glass of milk, a serving of yogurt, or a light snack with eggs and nuts. The sense of alertness and energy from natural foods may come more gradually, but it lasts longer and protects health rather than harming it. Looking back at today's discussion, we can see 4 key points. First, energy drinks with high levels of sugar and caffeine not only strain the heart, but also increase the body's loss of vitamin B12. Second, B12 is the foundation nutrient that keeps nerves and muscles working in harmony, and without it, we face weakness, tingling, and loss of balance. Third, the consequences of long-term deficiency extend beyond the legs, affecting memory, focus, and mood, often progressing quietly for years. And finally, the most sustainable solution doesn't come in a can of sugar and caffeine, but in natural foods such as milk, eggs, fish, and seafood, supported by regular health checks. The message we need to remember is that true and lasting energy does not come from a short-lived burst of stimulation, but from the way we nourish our bodies every day. Limiting energy drinks and choosing natural foods rich in B12 is the safe path to keeping our legs steady and our minds clear. If you found today's topic useful, please like this video. Share it so that more people can benefit, and subscribe to the channel so you will not miss future health content. Before you go, I would love to hear from you. Among the natural sources of B12, such as milk, eggs, or fish, Which one do you find easiest to keep in your daily meals? Share your thoughts in the comments so we can learn from one another.